Welcome back again to Virtual Career Expo Business Edition 2020. It's day one and it's been interesting so far. As you can see, we will flash a QR code for you to scan so that you can participate by posting questions in our next panel session. So the next panel session we are looking at is something I think many employers are constantly complaining, sort of like saying, all kinds of headache, Millennials, Gen Z. But really, you have to think about it. Are they really forced to think of the next the coming decade? So the next topic, the panel session, is really Millennials and Gen Z. Are they a force of change for the next decade? And to moderate this panel session, we have in the studio Ms. Michelle Chuah, Talent Manager of Agensi Pekerjaan Mega Millions. And joining her virtually, we have our panelist, Mr. Khoo, Vice President of Malaysia Associations of Hotels. This is at the national board, national board level. Ms. Chen, COO of Penang Skills Development Center. And Mr. Alan Tan, Managing Director of The Habitat Penang Hill. So over to you, Michelle.
Hello, it is so good to see all of you. Thank you so much for investing your time with us on a Thursday afternoon. Today, the topic we will be talking about is Millennials and Gen Z. Are they a force for change in the next decade? So towards the end of 2010, the workforce in many industries saw Millennials taking the reins in leadership roles and Gen Z entering the workforce in mass. What we are witnessing is one of the largest and most profound generational shifts since the baby boomers or Gen X era in the workplace. Well, I believe all of you would have heard somewhere that Millennials and Gen Z are being called as lazy and entitled. Well, each new generation tends to be hazed when they first go to work. Well, if you can believe that, Gen X were actually labeled as slackers and boomers were called entitled, just like millennials today. So, what can we change to adapt to a different generation and mindset? Mr. Khoo, would you care to share your thoughts on this?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all. Right, first and foremost, let's put it on the record. I'm a baby boomer. Okay, right. So I come from the generation. So I don't think you. That's why I heard you use the word entitled. We are not. We came from. I mean, most of us, like I said, so then I will definitely argue with you on that point. You see, I don't agree on that point.
All right.
I mean, that time, I would say generally, most parents were all like our parents and all. They were from working class, and that's why the baby boomers are basically, you will find that of course everybody wants to make a difference that time, so they actually put in a lot of hard work, and their time and all. So like what you mentioned just now again, but the different generations are coming through, the millennials and of course Gen Z now. Again, labeling them as lazy. Of course, in different generations have their different people, because again, I will put it back to education, from that time. For me, I think basically I was very fortunate enough to still get very old style teachers back then, where they really, because they came from maybe the time where the British had a lot of influence in the education. So we were not only taught to from the books, but basically when the teachers, they gave us a lot of how to mold us, to be what we are today, and the attitude and all. So, but as you can see again, what I'm trying to say is that I think you agree with me that the education was kind of lacking and it was going down, which a lot of people have complained about the system here, and of course the topsy-turvy decision of using the English language again, for this has also caused a lot of these young generations not able to communicate, or even speak properly, right? So coming back to this is, of course, I've been in the hotel industry for quite a number of years. I've managed a few hundred people, I would say. I've seen the different generations of people coming through, and when you talk about when there comes about the past 10 years, especially, there has been a lot of change in the hotel. And at that point is basically from the technology point. There are a lot of new software. There's not a lot of applications that come up. And you ask an old dog like me, it's very difficult to learn. you know. So I have to admit it, you know. What would they say? Old dogs don't learn new tricks, right? You know. So it took me a while to also accept. But this the new millennial or the new I would say the millennial or the new generation that came in, they were very easily because they have
Right.
been exposed from day one with the IT thing. So they are more to that. That's what I find. But it's the attitude sometimes. They what I find is that they can be a little bit impatient, you
Mm-hmm.
know. They want to go fast, you know. They want to move up fast, and then expect a lot of things rather than as compared to us at time. We always believe that we have to show what we are worth. That means we have to put in what we are supposed to do first, or what we are capable of, you know. Then only we will ask back. But this is the other way around. This is the new generation. They will ask first, and then they only show you what they can do. You know. So
Interesting.
in a way,
Interesting,
uh,
Mr. Khoo. What do you think, Alan? Do you have a say in this, or would you like
Yeah,
to
I
share your
think
thoughts?
it's I mean, I share every I'm a Gen Xer, so no, I'm not sure if we're lazy. Would you say
you're
Gen
not. That's
Xers are
why.
lazy? I'm not sure.
No, 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 no.
No, no, no. On the contrary, I think that we're just as hardworking as any of our
Yes, yes,
forebearers,
yes.
So, but I guess it really is. I mean, the topic, of course, is whether or not Gen Zs and millennials can be a force for change, and I firmly believe that. Oh, I've lost you.
Okay.
Hi,
Well,
guys.
while waiting for Alan to come back.
Alan,
Hi,
Um,
hi.
Hi.
Can you
we
hear
Yes.
can
me?
hear you. We can hear you.
Yes.
Sorry
Yeah,
about
yeah, we
that.
can
Very
hear you.
clearly.
Don't know where I
No
went.
problem.
So I think just back to
You
the
were
topic of
lazy.
whether. Yes, yes.
You had a.
Yeah, that.
You had
No, but back to
a.
the topic of whether millennials and Gen Zs are a force for change. I definitely think so. I think they are the future. You know, as all young people are in every generation, the young people are the future. It is a tricky. It is very tricky nowadays. I know to kind of figure out what even as a Gen Xer. So I always say I'm old, but I know that relative to Gen Zs and to Gen millennials at least, I'm probably not that much older. But definitely is a generational mindset change. So it is nowadays to kind of figure out what they want, how to retain good people. Um, what we have found over the years, we're a very young company, the Habitat Penang Hill. We've only been around since January 2016. So I've been doing this now for. Of course, I've been involved in the project for over 10 years, but the company itself has only been around for about 6 years or so. So we've had a lot of staff changes over the years. People come and go. It is quite interesting to note that job security is not high on priority on the list of
Right.
priorities for a lot of millennials and Gen Zs. In fact, what they are more motivated by, we find, is having a purpose when they come to work.
Mm-hmm.
So we really focus very hard. We are very young, as I mentioned. So we are actually focusing very hard on developing a purpose-driven business culture. And we're very lucky that our shareholders and our founders, the Cockrell family, are very supportive of this. So in our case, of course, our purpose and our purpose for being is really to contribute towards conservation of the environment. So really that is our cause célèbre. And that is what we focus on, and we try to balance the priorities of business as usual with the priorities of our purpose, of
Mm-hmm.
our purpose for being, basically. So that's
Great.
really how we hope to be
Great.
able to address the needs of the future generation in our org.
Mm-hmm. So I fall under the category of millennials, and definitely I'm not entitled. I can vouch for myself. But unfortunately, millennials and Gen Zs are sometimes labeled as strawberry generations. So how does the company handle the training and EVPs when encountering such cases? So Wei Chen, I believe you have the knowledge in this area.
Thanks, Michelle. PSCC has more than 200 over member companies, right? And through our constant engagement with companies, we find that companies are now more focused on the career path charting out exactly the skill sets required for a specific job. For example, say I can set an example, say an engineer, right? So a company would chart out every 2 years what would be the skill sets required by the engineer in order for the engineer to move to the next level. So those are very clear chart that will be shared with almost all of their employees, so that especially the millennials, so that they can see very clearly after 2 years, after they have acquired the skill sets, where do they move to? Because it is quite common for them to always ask their employers, hey, when can I get a promotion? I want to do something different. So with that chart, it's actually very easy for both parties, the employer as well as the employee, to understand where they are moving. Yes,
Well,
Michelle. Yeah, that's what most companies do. So yeah, I'm not sure about the other industry. Typically, in the manufacturing industry, where most of our members are from, that's what they practice.
well, is it the same with the hotel industry, Mr. Khoo?
Well, I mean, it's different. Like I said, I think Machen did mention about these engineers. They go through probably again, I would say used to they've been trained as an engineer. Probably their way of the thinking is different. What I can see two different type of groups that came into the hotel industry. One who has gone through hospitality school, which have already the parents spend some money to send them to proper schools and everything. And to be honest, most of these people who enter the local hotel scene will never last long. All right, they will either give up totally and do something else in the future, which I've seen, or they will definitely make a decision to move elsewhere. And they would it's always in their mind to move overseas and all. And there's the other batch of people that is not so fortunate enough that to have that education. But I noticed that the attitude is fantastic because why again they probably they were lacking they feel that they were lacking. I can see that the word again I use hungry. They are hungry. They were hungry to learn. They were hungry to achieve something in their lives. And I've seen like a Malay boy. He has worked with me for many years from a totally no knowledge in culinary. He's an excellent chef today. You see, whereas I've come across a young girl who graduated from a good school, and when she came in as a trainee, we gave her a salary of 1,500. She said it was too little, and even the parents call us up and complain. So, and then she decided to move off and do something else. So it's all spending all the money, and I go get a salary of 1,500. But she never see, even though we talk to them that the future is great because the developing countries, especially like China, is really expanding and hiring. Of course, don't talk about what's happening now. The tourism is bad with the pandemic, but it's something of the future. The Asian countries, the Asian part, it's all the developed. More and more hotels are opening up. Job opportunities are there, and they can rise to the very top. Yeah.
So, well, millennials and Gen Z currently they're actually looking at company's vision, company's brand before joining a company. So, are companies doing enough in these years to actually attract young talents, job seekers to join their companies? So, what do you think, Alan? I believe your company is doing something in terms of branding to
Yes.
attract job seekers.
So, in pursuit of our entire group now, so our parent company is called Pacific Tiger Group. It's based in Hong Kong, and the Pacific Tiger Group has fully embraced the cause of sustainability, really, and going forward. So as a company, we are here at the Habitat. We are actually the first company within our group to apply for what is called a B Corp certification. So B Corp companies typically measure their success on a triple bottom line approach. So it's people, profit, and planet. So we measure our success not just on shareholder returns, but also on the impact that we have on the community, and importantly, of course, on the planet as well. So that's our way really of fully embracing our mission. and hopefully it will also trickle down to the team, to our team members as well, and we work very hard to develop that culture of purpose, as I mentioned earlier.
Thank you. Well, that sounds really great. And to you, Wei Chen, is it the same as manufacturing? Do you think manufacturers are doing what they should do in order to attract young talents?
I would say before the pandemic and after the pandemic, things will be different, or rather, currently, what we are going through. Prior to the pandemic, of course, there's plenty of jobs around. Job seekers have more
Sure.
opportunities selecting their employers who they want to work with. But if you look at the current situation, some are affected depending on which industry you're in. Lucky for Malaysia, I think for the manufacturing, we are still good. Of course, looking at the US and China trade wars and the issues that they have, yeah, it benefited Malaysia in a way. So looking forward from our member companies, a lot of companies are hiring. They are hiring from operators to technicians to even engineers level, and they are talking about thousands even
Right.
for next year.
Wow.
But how the job seeker would want to approach the companies and whether their expectations meet, that is a different story altogether, right? So if choosy in the job right now, I think there's plenty, especially for the manufacturing. I can't say on behalf of the hotels and the hospitality, unfortunately, right? But if there's a mindset change of certain jobs that can be accepted by the job seeker, I think, yeah, opportunities are out there.
Well, I would like to add to your point, Wei Chen. Well, I noticed that in these few years, manufacturings are actually encouraging work-life balance, and they actually create vision in order to attract younger talents, whereby they have this very fun work culture, family days. So that actually also encourages, I would say, attract more youngsters to apply to their companies. And
Yes.
thank you so much. We actually received a question from the floor. Amelia, this question is from Amelia. In our company, millennials are more team-oriented, while the Gen Z seems to be more independent and want to let their opinions be known. What are your thoughts? So perhaps, Mr. Khoo, would you like to share your thoughts on this?
Okay, probably the first thing is, of course, millennials, they were, of course, or Gen X, like Alan, is after the baby boomers and the kind of thing and all, and also the Gen Y and all. So they were brought up, they were already were raised by baby boomers. So I'm very sure that we baby boomers have a bit of influence and all, and we always should like to have the culture of having a team. When you do things and you talk and you discuss, rather than you have an individual kind of thing. Whereas I think the Gen Z now is sort of they are in the zone of having measuring intelligence by grading and testing. Yeah. So and they probably with the and again, that's why I say I find that they are. That's why I mentioned earlier that they have sort of lost that communicating skills part, and that's the reason why maybe they are a bit more independent than rather than as a group, as a team. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I have to agree, Mr. I think that for us at the Habitat, I know it's very important, and I personally focus a lot on building a sense of team spirit, because no one can do anything on their own. You will rise and you hold together as a team, and I don't mean that in any flippant way. I mean that sincerely, and that's something that we try very hard to build within our culture. But it is a challenge. You do have differing expectations and attitudes nowadays. Oh,
All right.
sorry, I lost you again.
And
Okay, you got it, got it. Okay.
Okay.
okay. And we have a second question from this person called Dilemma. Well, I'm a graduate of hotel management who has been looking for a job for more than 6 months. Should I be looking somewhere else instead of hospitality industry where my passion lies?
If your passion is there, I would say pursue it. But I mean, at this moment, I just have to say that a lot of hotels are not hiring. Okay, so I mean, at this situation, the occupancy for example, the recent CMCO occupancy was lingering at single digit. You know, so how do you expect they can't even cover? I mean, even with the help of the government or whatever, the Penjana scheme, things like that, they can't even barely able to cover their salaries and all. So I would definitely advise that the hospitality is going to be come back. It will come back. It will come back and it will boom again. You know. And there's a lot of, as I said, a lot of because people not only travel for leisure, people travel for work and this and they where do they stay? They would stay at a hotel. Where do they hold a meeting? They will hold a meeting at a hotel. Where do you like to do a conference? They'll probably pick a hotel rather than any other venue. So there are a lot of opportunities and also, but if you have the passion, pursue the passion. Like I said, I mean, I went into the hospitality in a later stage. It's the same thing when I was young. I thought that hotel was great, but I didn't have the chance, so I went up doing something else. But I'm glad that finally, halfway through, I ended up doing what I sort of had something in my heart. So, like I said, chase your dream.
Yeah,
Well, hang in there, dilemma.
definitely don't give up, dilemma.
Mm.
And if we'll do whatever you can do to make it happen, even if it's working another job at this time and then volunteering at a hospitality related enterprise just to keep yourself connected to the pulse of the industry. Definitely don't give up on your dream, but do what you need to do to get through this massive disruption that we're seeing right now in the hospitality industry.
The old
Okay,
saying
because
says, Ellen, when
Yeah,
the tough gets tough, the tough gets going. Okay.
exactly.
I agree with that too. Well, we're actually getting
Totally.
close. We're actually getting close to the end of our time together. So one last question. This question comes from a Gen Z. So KK Core asks, how can we bridge the gap when management are mostly Gen X or baby boomers versus us Gen Z? So maybe Mr. Khoo, you would like to have
Maybe you let me you just tell them
or
I will
Rachel, yeah.
answer.
I
No, no,
I
no, don't
can
worry.
probably
Rachel maybe has
take that.
something. I'll just say one thing. Baby boomers are going to retire soon. Don't worry. So
Well, my
vacancy is
advice,
available.
my advice is everybody goes through that, even myself, right? I've been working for the last 20 over years. When you get into an organization, of course, you will have the senior people up there. Eventually, you have to remember everybody will age, everybody will retire eventually, right? So your
Oops.
opportunity will come. It's just that you have to, you know, you have to, well, you have to be
Do your
determined.
time.
If you're, yes, and yeah, until your time. And if you are going to look at job hopping every 6 months or so, you're not going to get there. That's my advice. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no,
everybody
absolutely.
has an opportunity. Yes.
I
And
think it's
Another
also,
advice to
important, of course.
KK.
Yeah. I think it's
No,
important,
go
of
ahead,
course.
Ellen. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I guess
yes, sir.
communication is always very important. We try to hold town halls every so often, not often enough, I have to admit, with our team. Of course, we are still relatively small, 50, 60 packs, 50, 60 workforce, so it's still doable. I cannot imagine big factories with thousands of people or even hotels with hundreds, having able to do that very often. But I guess it's also important for employers to realize nowadays that we need to provide. It's almost like going back to the old look policy, like in Japan, how in the old days you could go from cradle to grave with a company. You need to provide that career progression and that sense of purpose for people to stay with you for decades and decades. I come from a family where my father had people who literally started their careers with him and ended and who are still with us to this day, 40 years, 50 years down the track. So I firmly believe in developing that career path progression for people within an organization.
It was
Maybe
such
just
an
an advice to
yeah.
No, just an advice
Okay.
to KK. Instead of worrying about these people there, go and learn from them.
Yeah.
Pick up the experience from these people. That's where I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you this is something you never learn from any university. Okay.
Right. Right. Well, it was
Agreed.
definitely such an insightful sharing and great takeaway from all of you. I'm really sorry because we are getting very close to the end of our time together. So thank you so much, Mr. Khoo, Wei Chen, and Alan for
Okay.
spending your afternoon participating in our panel discussion. So for
Thank
all
you.
of you
You're
out there,
welcome. Yes,
please
thank
stay
you.
with us. Coming up next, we
Like
have an exclusive fireside chat with the General Manager of Courtyard by Marriott Penang. Thank you so much.
Thank you.